Today is an average day in the streets of Dhaka, now the most desperate of cities. More desperate, I'm told, than even Calcutta and Shanghai in the 30s. In normal times, this lorry collects the bodies of a few dozen destitutes. Now it collects hundreds of bodies, all of them starved to death, including this 11-year-old girl whose name was Hasna, who died in the gutter a few hours before we arrived, with her mother and brother beside her, still with nothing to eat.
Well, I've been out here really for 30 years. I came out in 1942, and I think I can quite honestly say that this is by far the worst emergency that I've ever seen in this part of the world. There have been others, but when I was young, I didn't really pay all that much attention. Yes. But latterly, I have seen bad years in India and Assam and Bengal, but nothing like this. If you go early in the morning, you'll find bodies lying around in the streets of Dhaka. And the other day I saw a mother who had lost her child, and she was using the child's body, in fact, as a means of getting money, begging.
So this film will go out on January the 2nd. How much worse will the situation be here in Bangladesh?
Starvation cases could only get worse. This is I think perhaps the basic thing. There are many starvation cases which are now medical cases, and if they're left longer, there will be lots more deaths.
In other words, they're dying.
They are dying. This is the heart of the matter.
And by January the 2nd, they'll be dead.
Many of them will, yes, most certainly.
Why have these children been allowed to starve? Why have they not been saved? The answer is not what you have often been told, that Bangladesh is so corrupt it is beyond redemption. For some of us who came here at the birth of this country, reporters, foreign aid officials, political do-gooders, Bangladesh was no more than a brief cynical romance, a source of good copy. And now the story and the cause are stale, the problem too great, the tragedy unfashionable. These people are starving to death because 2 crops were ruined by flood and because of certain major political decisions taken outside Bangladesh. We were too concerned with oil to notice that in 1974 food became a political weapon, a more lethal weapon than oil. We can do without oil, we cannot do without food. The United States Secretary of State, Dr. Henry Kissinger, controls the distribution of all American surplus food abroad. Not one country on his priority list is hungry. All are Dr. Kissinger's client states. All comply with his world strategy in return for favors such as food. At the top of the priority list are Chile, Cambodia, South Korea, and South Vietnam. South Vietnam, which gets more American food than any other country, not only exports its own rice, but openly sells America's food to buy arms in order to continue a war on America's behalf. Bangladesh is not on Dr. Kissinger's priority list.
Dr. Rudin, would you ask him if most of the people who are buried in the cemetery die of starvation?
এই যে গোরস্থানে যারা মারা যাচ্ছে তাদের মধ্যে বেশিরভাগ লোকই কি না খেয়ে মারা যাচ্ছে অনাহার সে বলছে যে he says that most of the cases death cases are from starvation.
On December the 8th, 1974, a secret report by the US State Department was leaked in Washington. It gave examples and details of the use of food as a means of shoring up one regime and blackmailing another. It quoted a top official whose job is to carry out Dr. Kissinger's strategic policies. He said, to give food aid to countries just because they are starving is a pretty weak reason.
দরকার পড়ে না আর একটা খাটলো আগলা এটা ধর দুইটা বড়
6 million people died in concentration camps during 4 years in World War II. Almost as many people may have died in Bangladesh in the last 4 years. Years of drought, flood, epidemic, a genocidal war, and now famine, perhaps the greatest famine of all. I don't draw this parallel idly. I happen to be standing in the middle of a field piled high with human skeletons, bones and skulls and pieces of human hair for as far as I can see, now being picked over by crows. This is just one cemetery in Dhaka, and today they are digging up last month's famine victims in order to bury today's victims. 85 since 7 o'clock, 10,000 since last July, and most of them young, starved children. Many of these children died because they couldn't get milk. Last year, the United Nations in Dhaka stopped feeding starving children a powder made from milk and soya beans, simply because the common market countries had bought up all American soya bean stocks to use as cattle feed. And yet the EEC Council of Ministers haggled for months before releasing a miserable £63 million as relief aid, an eighth of what they had promised to 25 hungry countries, of which Bangladesh is but one. And incidentally, many of these children died because they found it impossible to eat what they got from the much-ballyhooed World Food Conference. Nothing but platitudes.
He is his son.
That's his son. When did he die? Just today?
আজকে মারা গেছে
আজকে রাতে মারা গেছে
লাস্ট নাইট ইয়েস
How old was he?
বয়স কত ছিল
বয়স 3 মাস
3 months old.
Dr. Henry Kissinger opened the World Food Conference in Rome with these words.
We must proclaim a bold objective that within a decade, no child will go to bed hungry, that no family will fear for its next day's bread, and that no human being's future and capacities will be stunted by malnutrition. Our responsibility is clear. Let the nations gathered here resolve to confront the challenge and not each other.
My colleague, Eric Piper, took these pictures at a relief camp near Dhaka, one which Dr. Kissinger did not visit when he came to Bangladesh on October the 30th, 1974. On that day, a State Department official gave reporters an off-the-record briefing. He said, "Henry never wanted Bangladesh. With China firmly in place, there is no real strategic value here. There is nothing here, really."
All the people working these fields
Yes.
have sold their crops.
Yes.
Years ahead, they've put themselves in
Yes.
pawn to buy
Yes.
food.
Exactly. They have nothing to hope for at least for another 6 to 8 months. You see, most of the crops in these areas have been damaged,
Yes.
and this is what
All
has
damaged
been-
by the flood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who have they sold their crops to?
Well, they have sold these crops to those
the-
who have collected
Yes.
money out of relief and these all sort of advantages.
Big landowners.
Yeah, big
Yes.
An old journalist friend has brought me to this village in the district of Shirpur, some 40 miles from Dhaka. Everybody is starving here and also suffering the effects of an inflation which began not in countries like Bangladesh or in villages like this, but in the consumer world of the West. Nothing has ever been wasted here. Now even a bicycle, the means of escape, costs £150. There are few young men in this village. Some have gone in search of food, others have simply fled in despair as the famine finally cracks the Bengali tradition of family. We could not film some of the women because they are among the 5 million in Bangladesh who are going naked because they have sold their clothes for food.
Situation is. Ask him, would you, as is, what his food situation is.
আপনাদের অবস্থা কি খাওয়া দাওয়ার অবস্থা
খাওয়া দাওয়ার অবস্থা স্যার আমরা গরিব মানুষ কি খেতে পারি
খাওয়া দাওয়ার খুব কষ্ট
কষ্ট
আচ্ছা
What does he say?
he's saying that we are suffering from starvation
Yes.
and we are very poor people
When,
and we cannot afford to have regular meals.
when did he last have a regular meal, a
আচ্ছা
real meal?
আপনি কতক্ষণ আগে বা কদিন আগে ভালো করে খাইছেন
ভালো খাওয়া স্যার আমরা কই
What does he say?
He said he never had a full belly meal for
কিছু
quite
থোড়া
some
আমরা
time.
আড়াই না খাই
What is he eating then?
He's eating flour, just a bit of gruel from flour.
আগে ছিলাম বেঁচে টেচে
He had lands and he was a farmer. He sold out all his land.
Why did he sell his land?
আপনি কি জন্য জমি জমি বিক্রি করছেন?
খাইবার জন্য এ তো
Just
পেট
for
ভরে
food.
খাইতে পারি না
Just for food, he sold all his landed property. And even then, he says that we cannot eat to the fullest content of the belly.
He has no land at all now.
Now he has no land at all.
Where will his next meal come from?
তো আপনি পরে কি করে খাবেন এটার সম্বন্ধে আপনার কোনো ধারণা আছে?
কি করে
জমি জমা, হ্যাঁ?
জমি জমা দেন কি করে খাও
Well, he doesn't know where he will get his food from.
This little boy is probably typical of starvation, where he doesn't look like the Belson case, but he has a distended belly. And he probably has about every kind of
Yes.
parasite and disease in him. And he's subsisting on something like the root, which he's now eating.
Yeah.
And that little boy, even though his arms are quite thick,
Yes.
is in fact starving.
Yes. And there are quite a lot of children like that in this village, even much worse than him. আপনি কি এখন অসুখ?
অসুখ পাতের অসুখ বেশি
She says that I'm ill, and this is only a sickness of starvation.
Where are these people going to get food? I mean, they can't go on like this.
No, they simply cannot go on like that. The ultimate thing is facing death. No chance, because no government relief. আপনি রিলিফ পাইছেন?
না
Relief.
দিছে না বাজি
She did
বড়
not
বড়
get-
বাচ্চা খাইয়ে লিছে
She did not get any relief, and she said that all this relief are misappropriated by the big shots of the local administration. So I did not get it. That is her complaint.
When did she last see grain or rice?
আচ্ছা, আপনি কয়দিন আগে ভাত খাইছেন?
বাত রোজার গেছে যে রোজার পরের থেকে বাজি জুতাম বাজি আনতাম মাগিয়ে দিকে
রোজা কয় মাস হবে এটা? It's 3 months she did not see a single plate of rice. She's just surviving on the gruel from flour.
Tell me something. How do people living so poorly and eating so badly, not eating at all, how do they survive? How do they survive for 3 months?
Well, it is strange enough, John, what I think, that people are prone to some sort of immunization. And I think this is particularly people of Bangladesh, they are immune to starvation. And the other thing is their will to live. And just, this is, you see...
Yes, but immunization can only last for so long.
yeah,
In the end,
that's
they
what-
can't live on.
And
they're
that's what is
immunization.
happening. People are dying.
They're finally
Yeah,
dying.
finally dying. They struggle to survive, but ultimately they'll have to yield to death out of starvation.
Prime Minister, we have seen in villages situations which show no food at all. People have come up to us and said, we are eating leaves, we are starving, we have no food, we're not getting it from anywhere, quite close to Dhaka. Why should this be so?
You see, that is the, you can, some of the places this happens, but we have our open, free kitchen everywhere. The people are welcome to come there. And they have come. We have our camps, still we have not closed our camps. Of course, we have closed, we have not closed the camps. The people started working in the fields now. But, of course, this trouble is there. Such a serious flood and serious famine. We have not suppressed the news. We have already declared in the parliament that around about 27,000 people have died by starvation and by disease. We have not hid anything from anybody. It's a fact, natural calamities.
It seemed much worse than I expected in August. I've seen outside relief camps, people being turned away because the camps are full. Granted that you have set up these grill kitchens, but it seems that many, many people, perhaps tens of thousands of people, are simply not getting food in this country.
It's not correct. Then 27,000 people could not even die. The people expected that few millions people will die. But we have fought it.
Yes.
Everybody expected that few million people will die by starvation after the flood, after the inflation, because we had no the food grains in our go down at that time. We have tried to collect from all over the world.
Yes.
And that time some people should come forward to help us, but we on a humble way, we have tried. And around about 27,000 people have died by starvation, which is a fact. We tried our best, consciously we have tried our best.
While people are dying here, partly because there are so few aircraft to lift food and drugs to them, these 2 British helicopters stand idle. They were given by the British government, but they don't have vital parts. And in spite of pleading requests for 9 months, most of the parts have still to arrive.
Why isn't this one and the other one flying then?
Other one is we are short of some spares.
Yes.
Don't have spares. We have already written for those spares.
Why don't you have spares?
We don't have spares because UK did not supply the spares.
Have they supplied anyone to help you with it at all?
Not yet. We have already demand.
When did that one fly? The one over there?
That one I can't say when, as soon as we receive these spares.
No, but when did it last fly?
Last flew the last year. December.
It's been standing idle for almost a year.
Idle almost the year. And we have cannibalized most of the...
You would obviously be using it for relief work, wouldn't you?
Yes, relief work and baby movement also.
Yes.
An official of the Foreign Office in London told me it was unfortunate about the helicopters, but there was a queue for spare parts with a wait of up to a year. One of the parts cost just 50 pence. Perhaps they don't know about this famine in London. Perhaps they don't know that some of the starving people in this overcrowded relief camp walked 150 miles to get here, and it was only because of a foreign film crew that these people got in. There was no shortage of aircraft to relieve the victims of the cyclone in Darwin, Australia. The air forces of Britain, America and Australia were there. None of these countries has sent aircraft to rescue the people of Bangladesh.
The same answer, the famine is there. It is due to recent flood.
Yes. When you say famine is there, that means there's no food in the village at all, is that right?
No food is there.
What is she saying about her little boy?
She says that her baby is suffering from disease, and it is due to food, shortage of food.
Excuse me, is this the first food they're getting since they've arrived? This is the first food. Well, the first food in weeks, is it? Or?
The Soviet Union, with the biggest air force in the world, has lent Bangladesh 9 creaking helicopters, which break down more than they fly. The world's new rich, the oil producers, have offered some petty cash. Saudi Arabia, for example, recently gave Bangladesh the equivalent of less than 5 days' food. But of course the oil countries don't like dealing with bankrupt economies, even though rising oil prices have helped to cause this famine by putting petroleum-based fertilizers out of the reach of poor countries. Which means that this starving child, the son of a farmer, will probably die. Recently, a foreign aid official visited Bangladesh for 3 days. He told me about a cable he sent to his government recommending a reduction in emergency relief aid to Bangladesh. He sent the cable on the basis of 1 helicopter trip. He said, "The trouble with these people is that they have no get up and go, no success motivation." The judgment of this official is shared by other foreign diplomats here, who justify their ability to sit and watch people die by talking incessantly about local corruption, which of course exists, as the starving old woman in the village said. But need I say that this corruption is the universal symptom of a society caught in a never-ending cycle of poverty, war, catastrophe, and a scarcity of everything that is taken for granted in the West, like fresh water, and milk powder, and doctors, and blankets, and edible food. Is this corruption, or is the real corruption the world's culpable neglect of this ravaged country?
Could you ask her how old her little boy is?
আপনার এই বাচ্চার বয়স কত?
3 years. He's 3. He's extremely ill, isn't he?
বাচ্চার কি হয়েছিল?
বাচ্চার জ্বর আর আগা করছে।
He says that he's a bad stomach and then he had fever also.
She's come here to Dhaka to get food. Yes. Will he survive?
There are just 75 hospital beds for children in all of Bangladesh. That works out at 1 bed per million of population. None of the sick and starving children in this camp will ever see a hospital.
This used to be a soap factory. It is now a famine relief centre near Dhaka, and several thousand people are here. Almost all of them are starving, and many of the young children are suffering from typhoid, smallpox, and a thing called black fever. Many of them are dying. Not long ago, Dr. Henry Kissinger made his first visit to Bangladesh, squeezing it in between the Middle East and Moscow. He drove straight from the airport to the Intercontinental Hotel, talked for 1 hour with the Prime Minister, returned to the Intercontinental Hotel, held a press conference, drove back to the airport and left. Shortly after that, President Ford, on Dr. Kissinger's recommendation, halved the proposal for American emergency aid to Bangladesh. Instead, Bangladesh will receive more of the same from America. Boxes of army surplus biscuits and consignments of tents on which is written, "Important campers, don't forget to have fun."
On December the 28th, 1974, Sheikh Mujib declared a state of emergency in Bangladesh. There were shootings, arrests, and signs that Bangladesh is fast approaching political chaos as a direct result of this famine. Of course, it used to be said that starving people disturb nobody, and this certainly applies to the thousands of dead in this horrific cemetery. But Bangladesh is at the center of Asia, with borders on China, India, and Burma. And when those who somehow manage to survive this famine are finally in political turmoil, they will, I'm afraid, disturb everybody. The people of Bangladesh may then at last assume a strategic value and disturb even Dr. Kissinger. They may even disturb the United Nations, which ignores its own charter by its meanness to Bangladesh, and the Soviet Union, which heaps so-called friendship on Bangladesh and little else, and Australia, which mocks Asia with cliches about partnership while its surplus wheat stays in its silos, and the so-called internationalist common market, whose behaviour toward the starving of Bangladesh is that of a mean little burger, and Britain with its traditional goodwill and 2 idle helicopters. But of course the West has given something to Bangladesh, a disease called inflation.
If you've been horrified by what you've seen, then good. No doubt the commercials in a minute's time will offer reassurance to those who feel they need it. The truth is that Bangladesh and Britain have been caught in the same blizzard of inflation, energy crisis and shortage, with the one difference. When prices go up in Britain, no one dies. When prices go up in Bangladesh, thousands die. You see, it's no longer a question of pity and charity. To hell with that. Their struggle to survive is our struggle. Beat it in Bangladesh and you beat it in Britain. It's really a simple choice that has little to do with the brotherhood of man. The alternative is that we are all expendable.